My name is Chuck Burge. We're here with three guys who love sports. Show we started a couple of years ago. Last week was our 2-year anniversary to help support guys that are going through mental issues, physical issues. Started with my buddy Steve Pearson being diagnosed with prostate cancer.
He wasn't donated.
No, he's donated a lot, but he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and we could support Steve and others for just an hour a week, and you do that too. This world will be a better place. Here with my co-host, Mr. Robert Kinney. Robert, how are you, buddy?
I didn't run out of gas today, so I'm doing good.
You came close.
I came really close. When you're fortunate enough to have a newer vehicle and it tells you to the mile how many miles you got left, it should never say one.
It should never say one.
And it should never say one while you're driving.
Probably
to do
should never say
your
1 gallon. But yeah,
correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering. So that's 4:30. Robert's not here. That's a little unusual, but now I understand why. So speaking of running out of gas, we don't want to run out of food fuel. So what did you get tonight here at Miller's? Did you go back to a regular?
I did not. I believe it's my first ever quesadilla here.
Oh, you got a quesadilla.
Gentleman at the bar, as I was walking by, Sean walked up and he said, "Here's your quesadilla." I was like, "I like quesadillas. I could go there."
So that's where you're going?
That's where I went.
You know me, I become a creature of habit. If I find something I like, I'll stick with it for a while. So I'm doing Mimi's Fiesta Bowl with no shrimp, just chicken. But, man, last week it was so good. It was so good. I don't know if it was because
You're chasing the dragon
the regional general manager or above him was here, but, man, my plate was full. It was full, and I had a really good meal, so that was good. Of course, we're here to talk about sports and not food, but we do thank Miller's Ale House for being our host every week at 5 o'clock for the three guys who love sports and at 7 o'clock for the Owls who live sports. And we're very fortunate today to have our good friend Mr. Rick Limpert back with us. Rick, how are you, buddy?
I'm hungry now that you were talking food. I was doing okay. Now I think I got to leave now and get something to eat.
Well, we'll make sure you get something to eat. That won't be a problem.
Hey, let me ask you a question. You're wearing your Iowa State jacket, pullover.
Yep.
Are you an Iowa State man?
Yeah.
Okay. So this year they had the best NIL deal. It was that eat more ham and bacon.
Yeah. Yep.
Are those guys all coming back, or?
I think so.
So they could do it again next year?
I think so. And I think they added another guy into the mix too. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, that was a nice little viral hit during football season.
Brilliant.
This is why Rick is one of my favorite guests. He's so off the wall. He's got stuff from everywhere.
Yes, he does.
Rick, I know, and I've known him for a couple of years now, and I went up to him at the basketball game. Was it last Thursday night or one night last week? And I said, Rick, I know you've told me before, but tell me what you're doing here again at the press table. And Rick writes the recap and goes out to all the wire services in Georgia. That's right?
Yeah, just for the men's and women's basketball games.
But
it's
basically you're a
easy.
technical writer, right?
I'm a tech writer, and I run media centers at sports events. So, mostly writing and media duties. So
I want to be Rick when I grow up.
He said duties. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say, if Rick's ever sick, all of us want to take his job for that night. What are we doing for the night? I don't know, but
I can write those recaps now in about 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh, I'm
sure.
So basically, I get to watch a basketball game, write a recap. Sometimes they want little updates throughout the game, halftime, or whatever. But
like stats or recaps.
It's a recap, and sometimes they want a quote from the coach. But it's mostly it's Georgia. TV stations, radio stations, and newspapers that get it. So
if we hear it on 92.9 or whatever, you probably wrote it.
It went to them, whether they use it or some version of it.
But
it really gets more. Like last year, it got busy during the conference tournament for the men, and then the NCAA. It was a lot more in demand. But then they give the media other opportunities to come in and talk to the players and coaches ahead of time, so they want you to develop your story ahead of time. So,
and if you're not friends with Rick on Facebook, you need to become friends with him.
I am.
Oh, you already?
I am.
So when he did his Bass Pro Shops thing last week, I said, well, how did they lure you to do that?
Oh, Rick's always somewhere new.
I said I took the bait. They offered, and I took the bait.
There you go.
And I was going to tell you, I could go on. If you wanted to get in a war with me over
you don't want to
double entendres,
You don't want to do that with me, dude.
You
don't want to do that with me because that would be fun.
And let me just say, talking about your little write-ups, it reminds me not that I have anything in common with Rick on this one, but in middle school, I was always going early to intramurals, and me and this one kid, Chip Baldwin, haven't said that name in 40 years, and depending on whose team won, we got to do the play-by, and so it was always, the blue team took it hard on the chin today, and it was just,
I used to
write one every morning.
There was a Division II school near where I grew up, and you could go to the games for free or a couple bucks. And my dad I used to sit on the top bleachers with my tape recorder, and I used to broadcast the game on the tape recorder, and my dad would listen to the actual guy that was doing the radio because he knew him, and my dad would listen to my recap, and he said, it's almost as good as the guy actually do it. He said, the players, the little insights of the game, and I was 12 years old, maybe.
Just a wee lad.
Yeah.
Well, Steve Pearson, the guy that we created the show because of, his brother calls the games at Duquesne. That's in Iowa, right?
No, it's in Pittsburgh.
No, it's somewhere in Iowa.
Dubuque.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different than Duquesne.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
500 miles.
It's all around. So I guess we should get into our topics for today, and we're going to continue our season-long issue of who is the greatest athlete ever to wear a certain jersey number. And this may be the shortest session we ever have.
Do we even have to have this segment?
We're up to number 23, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you it's MJ. And I don't know. I know Don Mattingly's in there, and there's a couple of other people in there, but it's MJ. But Robert says to me, so what say ye, Robert?
No, I mean, obviously it's MJ, but I do want to say the greatest moment a 23 ever had. Do you know what that was?
No.
It was an October evening back in 1995 on a 1-1 count that Mr. Justice took to deep right. Without that number 23, boy, we're one banner shy, one big trophy. So thank goodness for that, or the ridicule that we've received over the 90s for only winning one would have been none.
Well, I know we don't care in this country, but if you're a British soccer fan,
football.
This is what I'm talking about.
if you're an English soccer fan, Sir David Beckham wore number 23.
Wow.
So you might get a little debate from those across the pond.
Absolutely. Did you guys see the new commercial?
That's awful.
The new commercial with
that's awful.
It's
I haven't seen it.
It's Spice and
It's
him.
a pre-Super Bowl commercial.
It's a pre-Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah. And it's awful.
Is it bad?
But what were they talking about? They were talking about something they didn't understand what they were talking about, and that part of it
They
I
didn't
thought
talk
was
about the Super Bowl.
correct. But they said something, and they're like, I don't know.
He called it the Hockey Bowl.
Yeah, the hockey bowl. The hockey bowl, and the two of them were like, and it's like, freaking British.
And that commercial's played about every 15 minutes if you're watching.
I've only seen it once.
I haven't seen it. I got to look it up on YouTube or something.
If you
That's
have
pretty
direct
cool.
TV.
That's pretty. Well, I got to just because you brought up David Justice, he was 23 too, wasn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you my favorite David Justice story. Two, really, since we've got a short segment. You know who he was married to? Halle Berry, right?
He was.
So I had a karaoke office down at the corner of Windy Hill Road and Cobb Parkway behind where Po Folks used to be, next to Fat Tuesdays. And there was a little nail salon, and a lady named Helen ran the nail salon. She comes running into my store one day and says, Halle Berry here. I said, what? She said, Halle Berry. I said, who's got a Harry Berry? Halle Berry was over at her salon getting her nails done, so I got to meet Halle Berry. My other favorite David Justice story is the catch that Otis Nixon made.
Mm-hmm. Where he ran up the wall?
Yeah. We had one hit in that game, and it was a David Justice home run. And it was a chip, my son's first baseball game. We were sitting about 10 rows behind
I'll tell you what, Otis Nixon is still living off
of
that
catch.
He was, if you know a place in Emerson, Georgia, there's only one restaurant.
That'd be Doug's.
Doug's.
And
which just got a sign on the side of the interstate. They're very excited about that.
Well, yeah, but Otis Nixon was just there doing a a pose of the catch or whatever. I'm sure he got a free meal for that.
I went to a golf tournament. You remember there was a time about we'll say about 4 or 5 years ago when Otis was missing and he was all over the news and everybody was looking for Otis. Well, they found Otis, I think, on a Friday. Turns out dude's in my golf tournament on Monday. So I'm doing all these selfies. I was like, I found Otis. He was on the 4th fairway.
Kind of like, where's
Waldo?
Waldo?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it felt.
I don't
very nice guy.
Yeah.
Very nice guy.
I don't think that was the only time he was lost.
No. Nobody's ever run up the lines quite.
That was Pablo Perez that was lost around 285.
No,
Pascual
Perez. That's who it was.
No. Yeah. Otis used to hang out with somebody named Pablo, but that's a different story.
I wouldn't know about that.
But hey, I will say this. Just because we've got all the lovers and the doubters and everything. How many seasons did Michael Jordan play in the NBA?
Boy, maybe 12.
13 seasons for the Bulls, and that includes
2 years off.
Well, technically, he only took 1 full year off because you remember that second year he came back
with the Wizards.
With Chicago, but only played the last 17 games of the regular season, and they got bounced, didn't make the playoffs.
I don't even count that.
Well, nobody does, but everybody always talks about Jordan took 2 years off and won all the titles, but he did come back and just get bounced out of the playoffs. But when you look at it, the guy played 13 years for the Bulls, two for the Wizards, and it's phenomenal all the way across. But the guy who always gets compared to him, Mr. LeBron, 11 seasons with the Cavs, 6 now with the Lakers, 4 with the Heat. I mean, he's at 21 seasons.
It's incredible.
It's insane. It's insane when you think about having to go against NBA talent from basically being a high school senior.
He is the oldest player currently in the NBA.
In the NBA, yeah.
Which is
crazy.
a stat usually reserved for people who are 7 feet tall.
Yeah, and
they come off the bench for a few minutes.
Some people will say he's slowing down a little bit, which he probably should.
Well, yeah, he's slowing down a little bit, but when you look at it, he's still hitting. Right now, this season, he's hitting 52% from the field.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I don't care how old you are. If you can shoot it at 52%, every team wants you.
I'm not a big LeBron fan.
Nor am I.
But I love LeBron stats and the stories and the accomplishments that come out about him because we're never going to see that.
Yeah,
again.
there's a lot of people. He's had an amazing career. Now, what was the story? Something about somebody asked Michael Jordan if they could beat the Lakers or whoever, the Cleveland or something. He said, well, probably 4 out of 5, but most of us are in their 70s.
Jordan is Jordan, and
absolutely.
He's been anointed the one. And you really can't take it away from him, no matter what you want to do.
So there's nobody at this table that would say that 23 is not the greatest.
Correct. I'm just going to show you guys this. This is all the different stats that they keep track of for basketball. The dark ones are ones where LeBron led the league.
Yeah,
so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times he's led the league in a stat.
A different stat.
A different stat. When you get to Jordan's, there's
a few.
There's a lot more leading the league. And
I
stuff.
think Jordan's legacy, besides the championships, is he truly. And you talk to some of the players that were on those Bulls teams. He made the players around him better.
Yep.
Just by being there.
By being there, yeah.
And with his leadership, and I've talked with Bill Wennington and B.J. Armstrong and those
Name
guys.
dropper.
Not huge names, but
those are big names. If you come from Chi-Town, I mean those are the
big boy.
Yeah, Bill Cartwright.
You're naming the guys that wouldn't be the first 3 titles without those guys.
And those guys will tell you they wouldn't have championships
without Michael.
I mean, not that he did everything. I mean, everyone had to play a role, and Rodman and Pippen were great players, but he made everybody better.
He elevates everybody's game.
I don't think LeBron does that.
And I think you're way off on that one. That's where I was getting ready to go. I think LeBron, if you asked anybody else, clearly he can't dominate a game like Jordan can, so he has to get somebody else involved and up their game. So I think after 21 years, he gets kind of a bad rap, but it was his choice to do the decision.
Yeah, great. I mean, great player, but a different paths than what
Absolutely.
MJ had.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's move on to our first commercial in Kennesaw Lube Express.
Although I do want to say this, I use LeBron as an example all the time. Whenever a European starts telling me about soccer and how we'll never compete, and I say, well, as soon as soccer pays more money than the NBA, NFL, or Major League Baseball,
Let me know.
LeBron was going to be a center fullback. And if you think you're getting it anywhere near the goal, if LeBron's out there,
It ain't
as
happening.
your midfielder.
Could you imagine LeBron as a soccer goalkeeper?
That's what I'm saying. And then,
Yeah.
Mike Trout is your, I mean, if you put our greatest athletes, it's crazy how good it could be.
All right.
There are a lot of places to get your oil changed in the Kennesaw area, but if you're looking for a personal experience, then stop in at Castro Kennesaw Express Lube or Lost Mountain Express Lube. We'll always do our best to get you in and out quickly, safely, and without a whole lot of fuss. We're a true owner-operated business where you'll find Brian under a car or a hood at one of the shops. We offer experienced, knowledgeable technicians in the latest computer software to help you maintain your new car warranty and keep your pride and joy running for the next 100,000 miles. We proudly offer Castrol products.
And let me talk a little bit about that personal service. I was in there today. Brian was not. He was over at the other shop on Lost Mountain. But James was there, and James is a good guy. Went in there because on Tuesday when I was driving around Metro Atlanta, when I did a big right-hand turn to get on from I-20 East to 285 North, my little oil light came on. And I didn't think it was time to get my oil changed, but I went by and and had them look at it. And he said, yeah, you're low on oil. And he put in 5 quarts of oil. And I said, how much is it? He said, don't worry about it.
Wow.
That's customer service there.
It is customer service, but I just want to let some of our audience know that they might have to pay because, a lot of the stories we have about him.
Don't go in there expecting it.
Don't expect it, but
Carrick's wife got a free windshield wiper because she couldn't see in the pouring rain.
Oh, wow.
You're getting 5 quarts of oil. His service is great, but I'm just saying you might have to
once
pay.
you become a customer.
Yeah.
Because I've been going to Brian for a good while now. So you take care of people, and they take care of you. That's kind of the way I look at life.
Absolutely.
The thing is, Chuck, we've said you've been leaking oil for a long time now.
See, here we go again.
Yeah, I am leaving this set if this turns into the battle of puns.
This is my man. I love this. Yeah. All right. That's a little squeaky, but we're okay. Oh, all right. So here we go to segment 2. We've got pitchers and catchers reporting next week. First foray into baseball this year. It's been I knew it would make Robert happy. This is a very, very different offseason than we before because there's a lot of changes going on in baseball. I mean, Kansas City Royals just signed a 22-year-old kid to like a lifetime contract.
Second generation, Mr. Witt.
Mr. Witt, shortstop, right? Bobby Witt's son.
Bobby Witt's son.
Yeah. And Altuve signed on to be a Astro for life, and Clayton Kershaw is now a Dodger for life, and
I like that, though.
how about Ohtani? I guess he's a Dodger for life now, too.
Well, we grew up, all of us, somewhat similar in ages. We grew up in the eras where a player was on a team for their entire career.
I wish it was still that way.
I mean, Johnny Bench.
Dang you, Kurt Flood.
Well, some good in that as well.
No. I'm just messing.
But for the players that that had a chance to leave but chose to stay on one team, I think there's something to be said for that. And a lot of those players, if you look at it, get in the Hall of Fame a little easier. If
The
that's
Tony Gwynns of the world.
Yes. Robin Yount, as a Brewer fan.
Hank Aaron,
Well,
for the most part.
Yeah, he got the Brewers thing.
I mean,
at
he
the
was
end,
kinda connected.
Kind of go back to the, but yes, it's a fine line. And when Aaron did it, let's not forget. I mentioned Curt Flood. Curt Flood is the guy who broke the monopoly, I guess, and created free agency. I want to say that was 1973 when he took the Cardinals to court. So technically, Hank Aaron only had an opportunity to do something for 3 years of his career.
well, he was a Brave, but in 2 different cities, and then as a goodwill gesture, he got to retire as a Brewer in Milwaukee.
Right.
And, Hank Aaron really. Is there many players that are a top legend in 2 cities like Hank Aaron
Not
is?
too
Usually
many.
it's one city, but him in Milwaukee and Atlanta, a lot of connections.
Absolutely.
And he owned both towns. I mean,
He truly did. Yeah. So, but talk about Curt Flood, but Andy Messersmith was really the first true free agent, right?
Boy, you're really digging there.
That came
Chuck.
here from the Dodgers to
Yeah.
the Braves. And didn't he
was-
wear like Channel 17 or something on his jersey or something like that for Turner?
Well, Ted Turner did a lot of illegal things.
Yeah,
I'm
Ted
sure.
Turner got away with a lot of crap, but I think it was Channel 17. Wasn't it Messerschmitt that did that?
I think it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. He was the first guy that we went out and got.
And that's led to all this crap now that people don't play for the same team very long anymore.
Well, somebody at that exact same time that we all love, and he seemed to take it by the bull by the horns. That's Nolan Ryan.
Yeah,
man, this dude's changing team once every 3 or 4 years. Hey, I'll go there. I can go there. So
And he was producing wherever he went.
every
Didn't
place.
matter where
He
went,
was striking out people if he was pitching for the Savannah Bananas. I mean,
the first professional athlete to make a $1 million contract. Him in 1980 for the California Angels.
Was there Nolan Ryan?
Nolan Ryan was the first $1 million 1980.
my first baseball
Very
game of all
deserved.
time, I was, I think, 7 or 8 years old, was Nolan Ryan. I got to see Nolan Ryan pitch against the Brewers in Milwaukee, and he like two-hit him. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Well, I think we talked about this on the show last week. My first baseball game was Denny LeMaster and Sandy Koufax.
Oh, wow.
10 innings at the Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, and we beat Koufax 2-1.
I mean, we all have those stories about baseball. That's why how do you think Braves fans are approaching this season? Are they more excited because of how last year ended, or are they still
No.
kind of on a downer? I mean,
Yes.
in baseball, we have those stories. We remember our first games. We remember going to spring training. We remember a new stadium.
Keeping the score in the in the book.
That's the magic of baseball.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Well, James Earl Jones' speech at in Field of Dreams, right? That's what baseball is to me, or was to me before they went on strike
and
in
it's
91.
162 games. It's they're playing every day. If you lose on Wednesday, there's another game on Thursday. So I'm looking forward to the season, just because, like you said, there are some changes this year and see how Ohtani does. I mean, the Dodgers look like a unmovable force right now. So so we'll see.
They got to be the odds-on favorite to win everything, right?
Let me ask you this question, just because you just mentioned the strike, and I'm guessing you were mentioning the 1994 strike, correct?
Yep.
How did your fanship make it through 1981?
I think I was too young to care then. I wasn't
Okay.
that big of a fan. I don't think I was that huge of a fan.
Gotcha.
Bob Horner was really my favorite Brave back in the day.
Love me some horns.
My mom,
Arizona State.
My mom loved Dale Murphy, and I think I
He's
became
the
a Horner
greatest player
fan.
of all time.
I think I chose Horner just to aggravate my mom.
Is Bob Horner one of the few people that hit 4 home runs in the game?
Yeah, he's
Absolutely.
the last Brave to do it, I think. Yeah.
Quickest wrists in the game. I mean, he just set those hands out on that big
was
fat
so strong.
belly. But the wrists could just turn. You could just sit there. There was no need. When you think of Gary Sheffield's doing this, and the idea behind this is to get the bat moving so that it's quicker to the zone. Bob sat like he was sleeping,
Yeah.
and with his hands resting on his belly, but he could
he
still
was
get
gone.
around. on it.
Lucky
Get
he
around on it.
played in the launching pad era, because that helped me. I think he also killed the Cubs too, didn't he?
Yeah.
He
He almost killed Chief Nakahoma.
at Wrigley Field. He went nuts. I think
Yeah.
so. Those two parks for Bob were made for a Bob Horner
I love
type.
Bob Horner, yeah. Yeah, he was a great player. So baseball starts. I think the Dodgers are the favorites in the National League.
All of baseball.
How about in the East? I mean, how about in the American League? Who do you think?
Baltimore.
According to Vegas right now, it's kind of a Astros, Yankees, Orioles, Rangers in that order, but just kind of all thrown into a little jug. Everybody's got to be impressed with the Orioles, what they were actually able to do on the field. Can they click the switch and make something happen? I tell you though, the Yankees signing Soto with Judge, if this would have happened last year, right after Judge hit all those home runs, we'd be freaking out a lot more. But Judge has never had protection like this.
For the Yankees, it's all about staying healthy.
Yep.
That
Sure.
team is ravaged, whether it's their strength and conditioning program
Probably,
up there or
and
something. I mean, they're eating too many slices of pizza.
Well,
I don't know.
And $150 million of their budget is probably going to people 36 or older. So, that's never good. But just those two guys in that order, Soto and Judge, that could be scary.
Yep. So these are not our predictions for the year. These are we're just throwing out a conversation that we'll have our predictions made later as we get closer to opening day for baseball. Other thing that's going on right now that we haven't talked about much is college basketball. In my opinion, this is the most evenly keeled season that I can ever remember. I know like 3 weeks ago, 17 of the top 25 teams lost. And I can't, Mr. Stad, I can't think of a time that ever happened.
Does that mean parity, or does that mean
anybody can beat anybody? Clemson takes out.
I think there's parity, but I think there's maybe 12,
Yeah.
one of 12 schools that could win the champion. I don't know if that you call that parity or not, but I think the champion's going to come from one of those top 10 or 12 teams. So still dominant, still with NIL, still they're buying the best players.
Yeah, but you don't hear much NIL about basketball as you do football.
Come on.
As you do football.
Oh, it's
You're
more
not-
widespread.
You're not following
but
it,
you
then,
don't.
Chuck.
But you don't hear about it. quite
You
as
know how
much
much
as the
you know how much
quarterback.
you know how much a good big man is going for in the transfer portal right now
In basketball?
in college basketball. If you're a big man that averages 15 and 10 or 15 and 12, do you know what they're commanding in the? Take a guess.
No, that's why I have you on the show. That's got to be $500,000 at least.
More.
1.5.
1.2 to 2 million.
So that's kind of what the football coach in Nebraska said a good quarterback is 1 to 2, right?
Yeah, that's the going
Anybody
rate.
coming out of the portal.
Yeah.
If you see a guy jumping in the portal, why is he leaving that school?
Yeah.
You know why.
Yeah. Well, like I said, Murray State a few years ago, the day after they were out of the tournament and their coach left, they had one player left on campus. And I mean, I know it happens. Maybe it is I don't follow basketball as closely as I do during football season. That may be what it is.
And there's only 12 people on a basketball team usually that have a chance to play, so you're dealing with less people, so the money, I think, is even more
Absolutely.
congested in college basketball, especially
And in pro.
and especially some of those blue bloods that have a lot of money to spend.
But when you hear about like 1,100 people in the portal in college football,
No, not all of them hardly any of them are getting that money.
Correct.
well, the same thing with college basketball, right? They're not all getting the money just because they go into the portal.
No, but if you're a guy that is coming off, you're the best player on a team. In a smaller conference, you're maybe all conference. You're 6'9"
Having a
or
double-double.
6'10". You average a double.
Yeah.
You can't wait for the season to end right now because you're going to strike it rich. I don't know if you're going to have
trying to replace Eddie
Already, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean that's
well, that guy's
Edie,
a really nice college. I'm interested to see how he translates to the pro game, but he's a really nice college player.
Very much so. And right now it's them and UConn that are on top, right?
They're
UConn's
hot
number
right
one.
now. They're hot right now.
Yeah.
But watch out for a school. I don't know if you follow Houston.
Oh,
at
yeah.
all. What
they
Calvin,
got beat by somebody the
Well,
other
they've
night.
got beat because they're in a tougher conference now than the
Yeah.
Big 12.
Yeah.
But if you look at the guys he's got on that team, they are tough. They're long. They can shoot.
So is that your
And-
pick right now?
No, I'm not making a pick right now because you got to see how the tournament brackets fall out
How they
before
fall.
you
Absolutely.
because it's all about matchups. So
Yeah.
but
But
there's,
yes,
there's
Kansas just beat Houston.
Yes,
That was-
Kansas,
And,
that's who it
and
was,
Kansas isn't deep, but their starting five is better,
pretty
as good
good.
as anybody.
And
And like-
Kansas
and-
State beat Kansas a couple nights
Right.
ago.
It's-
Yeah.
I mean, in that conference, if you win a road game, it's pretty much an upset.
yeah.
And like you said already, you said 12 teams. Looking at the list right now, I'd say easy 9, and then you can figure out the other 3. There's probably, but that's what you get.
And surprisingly, this year a school like Gonzaga really isn't in
And
the
any of
mix, and they've been top 8 for how many years?
Many years.
He's got a little bit of a down year this year.
But there's no dominant team like there were in the 70s when Wooden and UCLA ran
We'll
7
never see
straight
that
off.
again.
We'll never see that
And then
again.
you had Dean Smith at North Carolina was loaded for years.
Yeah.
And
Krzyzewski, what he ended up doing.
And maybe
Right.
that's what I mean by parity, that we'll never see that again.
you'll never see the 1 or 2 dominant teams.
Yeah.
But you spread that out now over 10 or 12. With the occasional, you're going to have Princeton sneak up on somebody in the tournament.
Or like a FAU did last year.
I mean,
yeah.
that was pretty unusual. But if you look at that FAU team, they had some nice pieces. They had some nice pieces
Seniors.
on that team.
They
Yes.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
Seniors are always big when it comes
I don't know
to
if
basketball.
I don't know what they're ranked or what they're ranked right now. But
FIU?
No, Miami. If
I
you
don't-
watch the Miami Hurricanes,
I have not seen them play this year yet. Good, huh?
I mean, if they ever listen to the coach a little bit or get a little organized. I don't know what they're ranked.
They might be all right.
They're not. They're
not ranked?
They're 6-6 in the conference, 15-8 overall.
And if you watch them, they're a very impressive team. Just maybe they're a team laying in the weeds that you don't want to play them in the tournament.
Well, I also thought that Georgia Tech might be when they beat Duke and then they beat North Carolina and then they got slaughtered last night.
They're
Wake Forest.
inconsistent.
Very.
The Georgia Bulldogs are better this year.
Yes, they are. They're on the bubble.
Yep.
Yeah,
I was
from what
looking
I've
at
seen.
something.
They have a big game tonight too,
Yeah.
don't they? Alabama? No.
No, Alabama's playing Auburn.
Auburn.
tonight.
That's right. Who's Georgia playing? They're.
Florida? Or did they just play Florida?
I don't remember who it is.
Oh no.
Larry, that Bulldog man, he's on top of it though. He's looking at that. Larry, the engineer, ladies and gentlemen.
They used to say college basketball was about coaching.
Mississippi State.
Bulldogs. Who Tech beat, and Georgia beat Tech. So, like I said, it's crazy. College basketball is nuts now.
I was looking up something the
It's
other
a
day.
players' game right now, though.
Yes, it is.
Just because Alabama was one of the clear class class. I don't really mean it like classy. Sorry about that.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide and delivering the gun. But last year, they were dominating, and now this year they're 16-6, and nobody's really talking about. I started looking at their schedule just earlier today, actually, and they had a 1 week span where they played Purdue, Creighton, and Arizona, and they lost all three of those games. So they lost 3 games, dropped all the way out of the thing. To take those games away, they're 13-3, and they're number 1 in the SEC. So it's a good team. They fell to the high competition, but
Arizona is loaded too.
Arizona is one of
watch
those
them.
top 9 teams. Absolutely.
Now, once football's over, I'll be heavy into basketball. I'll
Yeah,
watch
it's
this.
going to be a wild end of the season. I think.
It is. Speaking of end of the season, we're at the end of this segment. So, Larry, if you would key up Alvin Jameson, let's get his commercial on.
Hey, Alvin Jameson here, the mortgage guy. Are you looking to get pre-approved for a home loan? Or maybe you want to build a house from the ground up? Are you curious, or better yet, is your significant other on your back about making renovations in your current home? Call me. I have options for you. All self-employed individuals. Are you torn between writing off all your income or having to show your income to qualify for a house? I have a third alternative for you. Whether you're a W-2 employee, self-employed individual looking to do a purchase or pull money out of your current house, or better yet, we can't forget the investors out there. If you have that high interest rate, hard money loan, and looking to refinance out of it, again, give me a call. I have options. Below are the states that I'm personally licensed in. Call me, 404-587-9033. Again, 404-587-9033. Visit the website, alvinjameson.com.
Thank you, Alvin Jameson, for being a sponsor of the Three Guys Who Love Sports. Here with Robert and our good buddy Rick Limpert today. And were you at the press conference with Raheem Morris? Did you go to that?
No.
Do you ever get to go to those things?
Yeah, I get invited to all that. That doesn't,
doesn't excite you?
No, it's not something really I would cover. No, if the Falcons were introducing some new little tech thing or something at their practice facility, that's more of what interests me. But I don't know, Raheem Morris.
I was very underwhelmed.
Yeah,
but I was very impressed by his press conference. But again, he didn't say anything. He looked sharp.
Yeah, they're not going to say anything.
Yeah, they're just doing the company line.
You know what all he's thinking is, who's going to be my quarterback? Who's going to be the?
Well, it's funny. They asked him, "Have you talked to Fontenot about being who the quarterback's going to be?" And he said, "No, we're concerned about building our staff first. Once we get our staff,
you have to do that.
Yeah,
You have to do
absolutely.
that.
Again, company line. But I guarantee you, at some point in time, between the interview process and since then, they've talked a little bit about the quarterback.
Does this signal? Here's my question: does this signal Arthur Blank kind of moving out of football decisioning now?
Well, you know, since he kicked Rich McKay to the curb, and we're going to have Rich's.
He still pays Rich's paychecks. I would just like to point out.
We're going to still have Rich's son on probably in a couple of weeks. Hunter McKay. You know Hunter, right? Yeah. Hunter's a good dude. I don't know. I don't know. Arthur's 81. I think they said he was sick, and that's why he wasn't.
Yeah, and he's involved with the that investment group with the PGA Golf now. Yeah. Arthur's got a lot of irons in the fire. And he's not a young man.
Nope.
But he's been really good at putting people in positions to make decisions for the most part, except when it comes to Falcons.
Yeah.
Well, but
we can't figure that. I'm saying we. I'm not a Falcons fan, but I'm in the city.
Boo.
And the Falcons have some challenges, and we'll see if the new coach, the last coach, wasn't going to get it done. They realized that, which was smart. So we'll see what happens.
Well, let's look at this for a quick second. Who the next quarterback could be? Could be Justin Fields, right?
I think there's a good chance it might be Justin Fields.
So and everything we've talked about this on the show before when you weren't here, but everything rides with Chicago. Like Caleb Williams, and I'll say this about Caleb Williams, he got on Kingsbury's Instagram yesterday and said, "Way to go, dog." Yeah, I bet he wants to go to Washington and play for Kingsbury.
Well, maybe.
Kingsbury is
he'll go
is a throw it around type of guy.
Whoever drafts him. And out of all the quarterbacks in the draft, he's the one that could be a
generational.
Well, I hate to use that word generational. People use it, but
too much. We use it too much.
But a difference maker.
But if Justin Fields stays in Chicago, if Chicago chooses,
they're going to be 7-10 again next year. So.
Yeah, but then Caleb Williams will wind up at Washington.
Or if somebody drafts them.
Don't you think they'll
trade up? I think I'd like to see Jaden Daniels as our next quarterback.
I think he might be I think he might be the next best quarterback.
Yeah.
There's a very good chance. But you just said something about. Do you think the new coach has said anything to the general manager about the quarterback yet? And personally, for my money, if I'm the owner or the general manager, I'm not hiring a guy who doesn't say something during the recruitment process.
Well, exactly.
Because when you're asking me to be head coach, hey man, I like a lot of the things. What are you guys thinking about this? Because clearly you guys know you don't have anything there, right? So hopefully that conversation has already taken place. And
are the Vikings going to re-sign Kirk Cousins?
That's another option. But
is he a potential match?
But
for
do
the
we
Falcons?
want to pay? I think he's asking for $90 million over 2 years. Somebody coming off an Achilles.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, red mark through that guy. I don't want to pay that much money for somebody that's
you're
coming
wanting
off
a red
an
mark
Achilles.
for a guy who produces, but you might be okay with Fields who doesn't produce, who you're going to have to pay $50 million a year.
I'm not real thrilled. I don't want him to get Fields.
That's good.
No, I want Jaden Daniels. I want him to do whatever they have to do to trade up to get
Your best bet is to draft somebody and not play him right away. Let him. But who are you going to get? You're going to keep one of the guys right now.
Or you get a Darnold, or
I don't think
you don't want.
You know who I wouldn't mind Baker Mayfield being in.
He's not coming to Atlanta.
I know he's not, but I wouldn't mind him being here.
And I agree with in principle with what Rick's saying about letting a guy sit. There's nobody sitting on this team. If they pull the trigger, somebody's starting right off the bat. Because we just don't have that. We don't have a team or a luxury where you'd want them to sit behind. Hey, you're going to sit
like
behind
Aaron Rodgers and Jordan
Ed
Love.
Finkelstein.
Think of the Packers model and the Chiefs model. What works?
I understand, but what you're comparing them to is Alex Smith and Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, and that's why there is no model for the Falcons.
And now Jordan Love.
Yeah, but who's going?
No, that's what I'm saying. You had them sitting behind Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Right now there's no one to sit behind.
We don't have anything to sit behind.
Jimmy Garoppolo?
Jimmy G, bring him in. Hey, bring him in.
I like a pastrami sandwich.
Are you saying the Falcons are screwed?
I'm saying whoever the Falcons draft, they're going to have to play. They don't have that luxury.
They're going to get killed.
Well, that's what happens. Peyton Manning took his lumps.
Well, you know what? C.J. Stroud didn't get killed. He had a good rookie year.
Okay, phenomenal year.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen all the time, but
they don't have a bad offensive line.
They had not a great offensive line.
But they're not bad.
They're going to get better, though.
Yeah, they're going to get better. Got
even when we took Matt Ryan, we played him immediately.
Yeah, look at Larry coming to the forefront here.
Bam.
Larry.
First touchdown was to, God, I remember I was at the game.
Number 81.
Larry's trying to steal my
Wasn't
spot.
Finneran, was it?
No, it was Mr. Haynes.
Michael Haynes? Was it?
Yep.
Wow.
It was like 65 yards or something like that.
I remember jumping up and screaming. You know, if you ever wanted to know what a fan stands for, short for fanatic, literally he throws the pass, Haynes runs in, and I start jumping up and down by myself in my living room going, we're going to the Super Bowl. It's like, I just need a little bit of Kool-Aid. And man,
you lost it, Robert.
I did.
I would like to have somebody have Matt Ryan's skills to build the team on. I mean, he was a good quarterback.
He was the best
He didn't have a lot of
player we've
pieces
ever had.
around him, but we had a good team.
He didn't move real well either. So,
No,
you need a really good line.
And then
in
Jaden
front.
Daniels is somebody that can get outside the box.
Jaden
and
Daniels
make
can
some things
move.
happen.
I think he's got as much upside as anybody.
Jaden Daniels with this particular team with all of the running back, because it's not just Bijan. We've also got Algiers.
Yep.
So when you get a RPO with Jaden, I think there's some incredible things that could happen there. Stuff that if you get May might be that prototypical better quarterback, but
He looks a little stiff.
it looks
does,
very
doesn't he?
it looks very stiff.
I haven't seen him play more than a few games, but
But it doesn't flow well with what you think we
not a
have
Falcon,
already.
not a Falcon offense. I
Correct.
don't
And
think.
the only two players Coach Raw mentioned the other day were was Robinson and Drake London.
Well,
two good players.
Yeah.
Those should be.
And Steak Shapiro from 92.9 asked the stupidest question in the world. He's the biggest bozo I've ever met.
he is.
Yeah.
And you mentioned his name,
Last time.
just like Beetlejuice.
Last time.
Just don't say it 2 more times.
Last time. Yeah.
Don't say it to me. He'll be sitting right where I'm sitting next week, and you won't get a word in edgewise.
No, he won't.
No, he won't.
No, he won't. That won't happen. Yeah. So
Not unless he's buying us something on Atlanta Eats.
there you go. So let's get on to our last commercial because I want to spend a little extra time on the Super Bowl.
There's that axe again.
I know you got to get a little worried when he starts breaking the axe out. Tired of going to the same old places for the same old thing? American Axis has your solution. Whether you're looking for something new to do before or after the game, bachelor, bachelorette, or somewhere new to take those out-of-town guests, American Axis has 3 Atlanta locations in Marietta, Tucker, and now in downtown at the Works. Each and every location is conveniently and not coincidentally located next to a brewery. Look us up at American Access or give us a call at 678-763-3635 to schedule your next adventure.
And Dan Fisher, thank you for sponsoring the Three Guys Who Love Sports and for your hospitality. Was it last Thursday or the Thursday before, Larry, when we went to an after-hours event at American Access?
2 weeks ago.
It was
2 weeks ago, yeah.
So thank you, Dan, for that.
And a mighty fine shirt you're wearing.
Appreciate your hospitality then. So probably the biggest game of the year and the saddest game of the year is this week. And you know why it's the saddest?
Because it's the last one.
Because it's the last one. It breaks my heart that football's over. That's how much I'm passionate about football. But I want to talk a little bit about the history of the Super Bowl. I mean, this is number 57, 58.
482.
That's close. It's 57 or 58. I think it's 58.
I'm good with that.
But the first one, what was unique about the first one?
There wasn't one league. Well, there wasn't that for the first 3.
The ticket prices were $12.
$10 to $15. But what else happened at that game that was very unusual?
It was played at Tulane.
No, it is the only Super Bowl that didn't what?
Wasn't televised?
No.
It was televised by 2 networks.
Yeah. By the
That
AFL
didn't-
and the NFL.
Carol
league.
Channing was the halftime entertainment.
They didn't call it
Stop
the Super
It
Bowl.
wasn't Carol.
She was with people.
They didn't call it the Super Bowl.
It wasn't sold out.
Oh.
The only Super Bowl game
That's 'cause
that,
they were
that
relying
did
on
not
Larry.
sell out was the very
Larry's
first.
relatives.
Yeah, they're doing a crawfish boil down somewhere in Louisiana.
Going to no football game.
But Robert was right. And who came up with the term Super Bowl? Do you know that?
I
Lamar Hunt's kids.
It was Lamar
grandkid.
Hunt himself.
No, it was his. Well, yeah, it was Lamar Hunt because his grandson was playing with a Super Bowl.
That's
and
right.
The Super
Yeah.
Bowl
So
made
I
him.
credit the kids because
Yeah.
if the kids didn't have the Super Bowl,
It wouldn't have been.
and what good kid doesn't love a good Super Bowl?
Oh, I love the Super
Ding,
Bowl.
ding,
That thing would
ding,
bounce
ding.
everywhere. But so yeah, for like Robert said, the first 2 years, 67, 68, it wasn't the Super Bowl. It was just the AFL, NFL championship game.
Correct.
Right.
And technically, it was that after it was that for the third Super Bowl as well, right?
69 was the first one that was legally called the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah, what I read today anyway. It might not be right. Also learned some other cool facts. I know we've talked on here several times about the 4 teams that have never made it to the Super Bowl. How many teams have never won the Super Bowl?
Oh, a whole buttload.
13.
That's close.
Rick,
I thought you would know this.
I'd have to count on my
I'll go
fingers.
It's
and
not
toes.
13, it's 11.
I'm going to say 12.
It is 12. 12 teams that have never won the Super Bowl. Now, there was one article that somebody, Jennifer Boubell, wrote. Do you know
Oh,
her?
don't listen to the Boo Bell.
Do you know her?
I love Bluebell ice cream.
Bluebell ice cream. But Boubell, she said there's 12 teams, and then she only listed 11. So I wrote her on Instagram saying, if you're writing articles about sports and you say there's 12 teams, you ought to
You should
make sure
write
there's
12
12
names.
teams. Yeah. But I actually took a picture of a little chart that has got all 12 teams.
I have them right here.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Bengals
Wait, let me see if it matches with my chart.
with Boo Bell.
This is not Boubell's chart. This is somebody else's chart. Okay. All right.
We got the Bengals.
Yep.
Lions.
Yep.
Jaguars.
Yep.
Texans.
Yep.
Vikings.
Yep.
Bills.
But yep.
Falcons.
Yep.
Panthers. Cardinals. Titans. Chargers. And the Browns.
The Browns. Yep. So that's pretty wild that there's 12 teams. I would have thought more.
No.
But once again, when there's 30 teams on average, you're supposed to win 3 every 100 years. If
everything fell into place.
If everything's equal, everybody gets to celebrate and have 3 parades. Well, how the heck is everybody going to win if the Niners and the Cowboys and the Steelers and Tom Brady keep winning all these things? Those 4 teams have basically, and you can throw the Packers at the back of that list, I guess.
4.
The Giants.
Giants have got 3.
Giants
right?
are 4-1.
Oh yeah, that's right. They got
Two Eli Super Bowls.
Yep, 2 Eli's and then Hostetler and Sims.
Jeff Hostetler. Yep. So I think they've got the best winning percentage in the Super Bowl at 4-1, 80%.
The Packers are 4-1 too, I think.
The Packers are 4-1 as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. Cool.
Have the Steelers ever lost?
To the Packers.
To the Packers. Yeah, the Steelers.
Mike Tomlin.
This has got their record, too. It's got, like, charts of win and then losses across the bottom. So I can tell you exactly.
Just remember who the trophy's named after.
That would be Vince.
Lamar?
Yeah, the Steelers are 6-2.
6-2.
Yep. Here's something that surprised me. The Patriots are 6-4.
Right, because you got to remember they got waxed in '85 by that
Bears in
Super
New
Bowl
Orleans.
shuffle.
Yeah.
2 to the Giants, 1 to the Bears.
Yeah. So that's pretty wild. A lot of fun stuff going on with the Super Bowl. Obviously, a lot of prop bets. Can Taylor get there in time and stuff like that? But
Yes,
Yeah,
she has a lot of money.
yeah,
She could teleport herself,
Well,
I think.
I don't think she can land her plane in Vegas, but I think she can be dropped off in Vegas.
there's
and
a
they
spot
go
for
put
her.
her
I mean,
plane,
she might not be able to park it, but
There's a
she's got
spot.
enough money.
They said she's got a spot to park.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, they said
All right,
that.
cool.
Don't worry, they
It's
said
the-
she's got a
It's
spot.
the desert. They can just find a spot right outside of town.
Area 51.
There you go. There you go.
It's like valet parking. They'll just move the plane.
They'll just think she's an alien at Area 51. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, a lot of great things have gone in the Super Bowl. I was really shocked that 12 teams had won.
There was a movie filmed at the Super Bowl one time. Do you remember
Was it
that?
Black Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
a classic.
Yeah, great movie.
It is. It is actually not a bad movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's a great movie. If you're looking to keep the kids,
Just don't look up at
enjoying-
the Goodyear
you know,
blimp.
When the Goodyear
Exactly.
blimp comes out and they start bombing and shooting everybody in the stands, it's a fantastic.
Robert Shaw.
movie.
I think it was Robert Shaw, wasn't it?
Man, what a great
But
actor.
like, well, we've been making movies about planes on the bottom of the ocean. What else can get everybody's attention? Bombing the Super Bowl, that'll get them.
Real quick, Robert Shaw trivia. I saw him in a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
From Russia with Love. He was the bad guy on the train
Yeah.
And it looks nothing like Robert Shaw in Jaws, but it's the guy.
Did Robert Shaw? I'm sure he did, but did he make a really bad movie? I don't think so.
No, Robert Shaw was a bomb. He was awesome. All right, so back to the Super Bowl. I guess we got 10 minutes to talk about our predictions.
Lord.
Unless you've got some more interesting facts.
Oh, I got all sorts of stuff.
Well, go for it. We got time.
And how about a prop bet you like?
Love it. Go ahead.
First person to score a touchdown.
I always love those odd or even number. You don't even have to just pick.
No.
Just odd or even. We'll pay you on that front.
I like George Kittle to score the
first touchdown. If I had to pick who's going to score the first touchdown, I'd probably go with Pacheco.
Yeah, they might run one in.
Yeah.
He's a secret reason why they're in this game.
He's a secret weapon for them.
I mean,
Absolutely
with what he's been doing, he's been running like he's a
madman,
a 30-pound, 2 or 3 inch taller running back, and just a battering ram. And wow, he's been a big difference maker.
And he's been banged up too. So anything he's doing,
2 weeks of rest help.
I think it'll help him. And remember last year going into the Super, wasn't Mahomes banged up, injured with the ankle? He's healthy. I think Kansas City's going in a little healthier than they have, and San Francisco I think is fairly healthy, but they've been struggling with the run. So
they've had to come from behind in most the playoff games that they've been in. Shanahan's 0-3, is that right? At San Francisco against the Chiefs?
I think so.
Shanahan's 0-2 in this game.
Yeah.
And in both games, he had a lead.
And a lot of people think, well, this is his year.
Law of averages would say that favors him, I think.
I think it does, because once again, he had a lead in the first 2 games.
Two great coaches,
It's not like he's just been getting
Absolutely.
pummeled.
Andy Reid is fantastic, and Shanahan's a genius. So
Offensive gurus.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's ever been a better X's and O's matchup between head coaches, because great head coaches, but they don't always call the plays and pull the triggers. These guys do,
and these coaches are really adept at making adjustments at halftime.
They are.
So
obviously, look what Shanahan did last week when he was down 24-7 at half, and he comes back in the second half.
Yep.
I saw the best 10 players in the game list, and Deebo Samuel was not in the top 10. I don't know how that can be.
He's a fantastic player.
He is. Yards after the catch. Kansas City, San Francisco plays this 2-1 offense with 2 backs and one wide receiver. I don't know that they could cover them. And I know Kansas City can cover man-to-man probably better than anybody in the league.
They got a couple good corners.
Yeah,
Kansas City.
corners.
This is the best Kansas City defense that we've seen in a few years, I think.
16 points a game over the last 20 games,
Yeah.
I think, something like that.
Oh, who was it that came out and started talking about Mr. Purdy? It wasn't Ray Lewis.
Shannon Sharp.
No, it wasn't Shannon Sharp, but he was saying that Purdy is the 10th best player on his own team.
Yeah,
and
then Purdy agreed with him. When they said that to Purdy, he says, "I'm agreeing with you."
Yeah, it's just so funny how we throw certain people under the bus for certain things. And
I think Purdy's been thrown under the bus way more than he deserves. I think so.
Clearly, and there's a really good article if you guys just do a Google search or something on Shanahan talking about pick 263. You've got the last pick in the draft. This is a throwaway pick. Should we take this guy? Should we take this guy? And what the room was talking about when they went in to make this one selection.
Well, then at the first week of training camp last year, Purdy was number 4 on the depth chart. And Shanahan went to John Lynch is the GM of the 49ers. And Shanahan, this is 1 week into training camp, and he told John Lynch, I think our best quarterback is our 4th stringer. And Lynch laughed at him.
Oh, really?
But Shanahan said there were signs right there that this guy fits our system.
You had Trey Lance, you had Garoppolo, you had the other guy who's now the backup.
Yep, Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
And
some things you can't explain. Some things you just can't explain.
And I say this about Tom Brady, and I don't mean it as a dig against Tom Brady, but certain quarterbacks could dominate no matter where they went. Peyton Manning is gonna win. That's his game. He does. Tom Brady would not have won anywhere he would have gone. Well, there's a decent chance Brock Purdy wouldn't win wherever he goes.
Is Brock Purdy winning as the quarterback of the Falcons?
Not like this.
No, not like
this. And but at the end of the day, if this runs out for a while,
the dude put up 4,200 yards this season. I mean,
didn't play the final week.
Didn't play the final week, and there's signs
Killed
that
my fantasy team.
And he likes those big moments, I think. I'm not just saying that because I'm an Iowa State guy either.
Well,
so,
but also to a point, 4,200, and people go, well, leaders had 46, 48, 49. None of those leaders had CMC running the ball and dominating the rushing attack. So,
that's a nice weapon to have in your back pocket.
Yeah,
I mean.
CMC's a good.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it's funny. We talked about prop bets earlier, and remember the year that there was a safety.
Yep.
Was the first score of it? Was the Giants?
Yeah, I remember that.
Man, how much money that would have made. That would have been cool to take safety as the first score. Crazy,
for the
crazy
most part,
stuff,
for the most part, prop bets are a losing proposition.
Yeah.
I mean,
other than just coin flip, you got a 50-50
they're fun to
shot.
play.
Yeah,
I think they're fun to play.
I do
Well,
too.
most of them are 50-50, but you'll still lose more than It's like, well, I stand a good chance. No, you'll pick all the wrong ones.
50-50 shot. And the
But
coin.
and then when you combine a prop bet with something else in a parlay, then you can really take the casino. But again, they're hard to hit. So
Very much so.
I remember one year, I'm going to say 1996, something like that. I don't remember if it was the Favre Packers.
that's the Favre Packers one.
It was something like that, and I made like 10 prop bets.
Wow.
I did an over/under on the singing of the national anthem. On the time, and it was like 2 minutes and 1 second. So I'm timing myself singing it, and it was like Luther Vandross who was singing it, right?
Well, he was hitting those notes.
And so I'm running through it, and at a normal pace, I'm right around 2 minutes. So I started thinking about Luther just holding these notes. I'm like, Luther's going deep into this. And he's like, whoa, say, can you? And I'm like, oh, I've got this one. And then the second verse was, but I don't do it like. And I was like, whoa. And I lost the bet, but he did. He started rapid fire singing, and it's a lot of fun though.
Well, we got Reba McEntire this week singing.
Before the games ever started, I'm throwing. I'm already losing money on this garbage.
That's cool. That's cool.
Stuff.
All right. Well, speaking of money, it's time to lay our money on the line.
And just for the record, talking about money, the average price for a Super Bowl
$9,500.
$10,752 right now.
Wow.
Is it just me, or I still prefer watching football at home on the TV than being there?
You can go to your own bathroom. Oh, man, I wish I wouldn't have. Oh, it's okay. I can pause this.
My own refrigerator.
Get one of those little foam rubber bricks you can throw at the TV anytime you go. Yeah.
Your favorite chair with already your butt print in it. It's like, oh, yeah, this one's really comfortable.
If you got YouTube TV, you can pause it and go to the bathroom and come back and start where you were.
Well, you don't want to do that.
You can.
You want to watch it live.
Yeah. So who you got?
Let's go. Let's take San Francisco to cover.
Is it still two?
Still two.
Yep, San Francisco to cover, and I'm not sure what the over/under currently is at, but
I should know that off the top of my head.
Robert will know in a couple of seconds.
I have been following things a little closer here as of late. 47.5. So that means over. So that means
you're going to take the over?
45.
San Francisco and the over.
45 would be 22. So basically, the predicted final score for the game is 25-22.
So San Francisco's favored by 3?
Yeah, 25-22.
All right. Give me.
Or 25-23. I'm sorry. 25-23.
Give me Kansas City and the under. I think Kansas City's defense is going to show up. Chris Jones is a beast. As Rick said earlier, their cornerbacks are really good. And somebody said something about the soft field is the least favorite field you want to play on. And one of the guys, Booger McFarland or somebody on ESPN. So give me Kansas City plus the 3 and the under.
You only get 2, not 3. But that's okay. We'll let Chuck have 2. Just remember that.
I'll take the 2. I thought you said it was 3.
No, it's like 47 or 45-43, whatever. I think this is San Francisco's year. I mean, I would not be surprised at all. McCafferty puts up 112 yards, 2 more scores between Kittle or Debo or Ayuk. One of them comes through in a big sort of way. But this game has a feeling like I haven't felt in many moons betting against the Patriots and the Crimson Tide. When are we going to learn to not pick against Patrick Mahomes?
Exactly.
Because you look at this game and you're like, everything is. Of course, everything. I thought the Dolphins stood a better chance in that frozen game. I thought the Bills. Surely the Ravens. These guys just keep winning.
Who's Shirley?
And stop calling me
my sister, but don't call me that. No, I'm gonna go Niners for the last time ever. If the Chiefs win this, I'm on a Chiefs. I only take the Chiefs in the playoffs
for the rest of the year.
No.
I mean, the rest of your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're in good shape.
Until Mahomes isn't the quarterback and Andy Reid isn't the play caller, because, I pointed out last week. Kelsey's been double covered since he was in 7th grade. That play against the Bills where he's got 20 yards and only one guy is calling those types of plays, and his name's Andy Reid. I mean, as much as Shanahan gets credit, I hate those Niners. Go to the Niners, though.
All right, so we got 2 Niners and the Chiefs. Larry, you want to throw in your pick real quick?
Yeah, I got to stick with the Niners.
All right, so we got 3 and 1. I'll be the lone wolf.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm going on with what Robert said. How can you pick against Mahomes after what he's done this postseason?
Right.
Right.
Well, and like you guys said, San Francisco's had to fight to come back in these last games. As Farrell Middleton made a comment last week, that's not what the Chiefs have been doing as of late. They've been taking people behind the woodshed. They might not have scored any points in that second half in the AFC Championship game.
But they didn't have to.
But they didn't have to because of, as Rick said, that defense is so stout. So we'll see.
It'll be fun.
Yep. Well, as always, Rick, great having
Thanks,
you on the
guys.
show, buddy. Yep.
Always.
Robert, good show. Larry, happy Super Bowl to everybody. And don't forget, know your numbers, cover your ass, get your prostate checked. And we'll see you next week right here at Miller's Ale House for 3 guys who love sports.
See it.